Yep. So the last thing I want to talk about, we recently have spent the last month or so working on something called a manifesto. Talk to me about what led you to...
Yeah, so I think just the term manifesto, I never really thought applied to an organization. But then I realized that it does. It's actually, a manifesto is for a nonprofit like ours, it's a public declaration of our intentions and our values, right? Now, oftentimes I see, we got a mission statement, we got a vision statement, we talk about what our values are, core values. But this goes a little further into, if you are going to be served by us, if you're going to work for us or with us, what's that going to be like? And I think a manifesto starts to tell you what it's going to be like working with us.
Yeah. And so I've read over this quite a few times, and I've looked at it from the perspective of like, okay, if I'm someone new to my recovery, what can I expect? If I'm someone that's going to be starting to work, I'm someone that's going to start to work at Hope Town.
Yeah.
What can I expect? What's the environment going to be there? And I a couple of these things that are really cool to me, and I'll encourage anybody that hasn't seen this to get on our website, get on Facebook.
You should include it with the video.
I will,
as an attachment or something.
A couple of the things on here, our enemy. Our enemy is the status quo. We confront internalized shame, public stigma, and outdated systems that hinder progress.
Yeah, that's our enemy. That is what we get up and fight every day.
Yeah.
So we do that in different ways. But, as an organization, we need to have an enemy. We need to have a mission. Like we talk about a mission, we should have some energy behind that.
Yeah.
Our enemy is the status quo.
Yeah. And so here's something that motivates us, our core values. I'll list a couple of these. Gratitude, it says it's our greatest tool and most effective coping mechanism. Innovation, we create new solutions and opportunities. Honesty, we operate with transparency, authenticity, and trust, and drive. Persistence, perseverance, and passion. Why do you think those are so important?
Well, everything you just listed to me sounds like us, right?
Yeah.
It's stuff that we talk about every day. I identify with it personally. These are values for me, but it's not just, we're just not listing core values. We're describing what that means. So when you say, honesty, we're describing what that means to us, right? Accountability. Everybody has a part in this. We talk about that all the time in recovery. Who are we to judge if we don't have a part to play? Right? If we can only see your part in things and don't acknowledge our own part, me as a leader, as an administrator of this organization, I regularly share with what my part is in the problem. I'm going to help you identify and show you what I'm seeing, but it's not for me to do it the way I've seen it done at times, where people point out your development, the rough edges that you need to develop, right? But don't acknowledge their own, right? I should be able to point that out to you, but not acknowledge that I've also struggled with that, or I've struggled with something different, because that's how I learned in recovery. That's the only way I learned in recovery. So a lot of this manifesto, these core values and the description of them is important, because it's kind of how we all got here.
Well, something I don't think I've vocalized this before, but something I realized about this manifesto is that, like, Hope Town's a really unique place to work in my experience. Like, I've never worked at a place that operates in the way that Hope Town does. And it's because of the way that the people operate, like everyone here, like this manifesto isn't meant to say, hey, this is how you should operate. What I'm realizing is that this manifesto was created out of the way Hope Town and its employees already operate. Yeah. And that's
Yeah.
why we passed this around to everybody
right.
and said, hey, make some edits and change it.
Yeah, this didn't just come from me. This is something I put out
Yeah.
and wanted the feedback on it, because this is fluid and it'll change. At
Yeah.
times maybe annually or however often, we're going to go back in and see if this is still us and what needs to be added. Read that passage on vulnerability, because honestly,
Yeah, I will.
this was your suggestion, and I didn't expect it to be what it is, but it really is who we are.
Yeah. Yeah. So the power of vulnerability. We recognize vulnerability as a strength that fosters authentic connection, healing, and growth. By embracing our imperfections and sharing our struggles, we create an environment where others feel safe to do the same. That's huge, I think. Vulnerability is the foundation of trust and transformation. It empowers us to break free from shame, build meaningful relationships, and discover resilience. At Hope Town, we champion courage through vulnerability, knowing it is essential to lasting recovery and collective progress.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, so that's me, right?
Yeah.
That's Jim Beadle. That's who Jim Beadle was, and that's who I modeled, because that vulnerability gave me freedom. So there's been times when people have said that I've shared maybe too transparently, and maybe not at the right time, and I'm sure that's certainly true for them. And maybe it's not always been in my best interest, right? But I haven't picked up, right?
Yeah.
I haven't broken anything lately, and I don't have any secrets. I mean, I had my first 3 to 5 years in recovery. I still had secrets. I still had sneaky behavior. I don't even have secrets anymore.
Yeah.
So for me to get free from that stuff, I'll take a little bit of oversharing.
Sure.
I'll take a little bit of, wow, Ted's he's a lot. At times, the way that he shares about himself and his life, I'll take that, because I don't have secrets, and I'm not wrecking myself today.
Yeah.
And I'm just trying to survive, and this is the best version of me I've ever been, and I take it or leave it. I'm still working at it.
Yeah.
But this is as good as it's been for me.
Yeah. So what are some final thoughts to anybody that's in a place where they're struggling right now, where they're either actively in their addiction, maybe they're just newly sober and they just don't have hope? What's one word of encouragement you would have for those people before we go today?
Yeah. So, a couple thoughts. One is, it's certainly possible, and if we're comparing what we're feeling inside to what we see on the outsides of others, we're fucked, right? So whatever we think we're perceiving in ourselves, in our own progress, in our own failures, as we perceive it compared to what we see on the outsides of others, we need to get some help. We need to find somebody to talk to that's got some experience, because they're going to help us put that into perspective, because that's false. Whatever that view is, that's false. We got to compare our insides to the insides of others who have been in this space, and what have they done? And so it's just taking the suggestions from others who have been through something like this. And my suggestion is, be honest. Open your mind just enough to be able to accept a new belief, and
Take some suggestions.
and stop talking about what your beliefs are. Just stop talking about it. Just be open to whatever ideas are presented from people who have been through it. I always like to be around God-centered people. They're connected on some level to a higher power. Man, I'm down with those folks, because those guys are going to make some good suggestions.
Yeah.
Hopefully based on their experience.
Yeah.